In a world where changes are like a high-speed rail charging towards a mysterious future, how do teachers fit the needs of students with different backgrounds, cultures, and home languages? How do we prepare them for the unknown jobs of tomorrow? Only one thing is certain. ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus version 4.6. Together we can identify academic language, make smart goals, scaffolds, and a better world.
Hi, and welcome to ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus version 4.6. My name is Jason, and this is my friend Matthew. Matthew says hello. Good boy, Matthew. Today, we would like to discuss how to better meet the needs of our ELL students. We will be talking about inclusion, identifying academic language, creating SMART goals to know what you want your students to accomplish, and how to create scaffolds to get them to those goals. But first, let's look at the reality that our ELL students are facing every day. Imagine what it is like receiving instruction all day in a second language. Without proper goals and scaffolds, students can feel lost and want to give up on school. According to the Department of Education in 2015, only 67% of EL students graduated high school on time. That is much lower than the 85% of non-language learners. The longer a student is classified as an English language learner, the more likely that student is to drop out of high school. So it is important that we do as much as we can for our students as soon as we can. Luckily we have ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus version 4.6. Let's take a look at a map that shows the percentage of ELLs per state. As you look at the map, reflect on the students in your school. Think about whether or not their needs are being met. Now we'd like you to take some time to talk to your colleagues about what you think good ELL instruction is. Welcome back! It's quiz time! As you saw from that quiz, good teaching is not enough. You need to provide scaffolds and support for each individual child. Isn't that right, Matthew? Another important thing to consider is the environment. What type of school are your students learning in? A monocultural school only represents the dominant culture in the school structures, policies, curricula, and instructional materials. A level higher than that would be tolerance. Let's look at the word tolerance. And I quote, "To tolerate differences means that they are endured, not necessarily embraced." Let's take a look at another quote. And I quote, "A tolerant school accepts differences, but only if they can be modified. Thus, they are accepted, but because the ultimate goal is assimilation, differences in language and culture are replaced as quickly as possible." Whoa, Matthew, please, sit boy, sit. Whew. Matthew certainly does not like the sound of those learning environments. Don't worry, Matthew. There's still another level. We can have a school of respect. That's right. Respect. This type of environment implies admiration and high esteem for diversity. Your ELL students' home language and culture is going to be seen as a learning opportunity instead of a burden. How do you feel about your students' home language in the classroom? Do you take an English-only approach, or do you allow students to develop their home language alongside English? Make sure you respect the languages and cultures of your students. Send out a family culture survey. Let families tell you where they're from, what holidays they celebrate, what languages are spoken in the home. Allow them to send in pictures or artifacts that represent the family. Make a family culture board so that students can see themselves represented and honored in the classroom. Make sure you have books that are written in all languages. Make sure you play music in the classroom while the children work that represents music from around the world. The more valued your students feel, the more they will thrive in the classroom. Isn't that right, Matthew? Good boy. Now it's time to invite a special guest, Professor Rusty, to talk about academic language.
This is Rusty here, professor and expert mathematician. Yes, the academic language of mathematics is something that I must consider every day to better serve the needs of my students. So let's jump right into it. Teachers need to realize that there are different ways of thinking about math depending on where you are from. There are different symbols and different ways to solve problems, and many ways of saying the same thing. Some countries might just say total when dealing with addition. But we can say sum, but in all, altogether, and total. And we also have multiple meanings. Table is not something that we just say in mathematics. We have the times table, data table, water table, table of contents, and just a normal table that you sit at and eat nachos. So this can be quite confusing. GOTTLIEB recommends that teachers should introduce and reinforce each one independently within mathematics problem solving. So now, think about the language of your subject area. What words could be confusing? What words should you introduce one by one? How can you better serve the needs of your students? Take some time to reflect with your colleagues.
Thank you, Professor Rusty, for sharing your wisdom about the academic language of mathematics. I hope that all of you were able to think about the academic language of your subjects, because we are going to need it for this next part. Up next, we are inviting our ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus Pro Instructionalist, Bob, to talk to us about SMART goals. Hi everyone, I'm Bob, an ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus Pro Instructionalist, and I'm here to talk to you about SMART goals. So let's just get started, okay? Setting SMART goals is going to yield better results in the classroom. SMART is an acronym that means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. The SMART goal structure is an intentional lesson planning tool that is used in non-ELL instruction. The ELL students will benefit from teachers who utilize the SMART goal structure because it keeps the learning goals focused around the specific needs of an ELL student. The following is an example of a SMART goal that could be used with a student who only speaks Spanish at home. The third grade student will be able to spell 70% of the words on the Week 10 spelling list by the end of the week, evidenced by the Week 10 spelling list scores.
Can you identify each of the SMART goal components with the given example? Pause the video to discuss with a partner. Go ahead, pause it. Let's review. The specific is the skill of accurate spelling. The 70% on the Week 10 spelling list is the measurable. The attainable is holding the student accountable to earn at least the mastery score of 70%. Students in 3rd grade are learning new words to spell weekly, and this is relevant, and the goal is written in the time frame of a week, which makes it time-based. The SMART goal is tricky to write at first, but becomes an ally for instruction. By writing your learning objectives in this format, it allows both the teacher and student to recognize when the learning goals are being met. Pause the video and take a few minutes to write a SMART goal with something that you are currently teaching or about to be teaching. Share your SMART goal with a partner and ask for feedback. Go ahead, pause it.
Wow, Rusty and Bob have my head spinning with ideas. In fact, I think it's time to take these ideas and combine them with scaffolding to create one super lesson. Hold on tight because here we go. For my language arts lesson, I will be introducing the sight words I am a. So what can I do with these? By golly, the timing's perfect. We're also learning the theme, my identity. So I'll choose target language from the theme and combine it with the sight words. For the my identity theme, we can have students write their name, age, and gender. For our final goal, students will be able to create a bio page where they draw themselves and write, I am Bill, I am 5, I am a boy. It's perfect. So now let's look at the scaffolds we need to make sure all of our students succeed. The first activity is the easiest of the activities, but still complex for students. Every student will have their picture printed off. This is Bill. He's going to be our volunteer today. This allows them to build the sentence structures before they have to write them. It also helps students identify individual words. Here's how it works. I am. Now here, students get to fill in the blank using a card. To individualize the lesson plan for each student, if you have an advanced student, allow them to write on the line. I am boy. Let's look at that again, Bill. I am boy. Something sounds off. There you go, Bill. Let's try again. I am Bill. I am a boy. Great job, Bill. If you feel this is enough for your students, you can have them stop here. As the teacher, you decide how far to take a lesson. I am going to have them include their age. I am 5. Great job. Let's look at the next step. Now that students have had a chance to work with these sentences, let's see if they can build and write the sentences. For this step, I will only ask that students are able to write I am and then their name. But I will still leave the extra materials here for students that feel comfortable with going forward. So here the students can work with the words to build the sentence and see it. They'll have a visual of what they need to write. I am a bill. Now, if you ask the students to repeat this, most students will see and feel that something is wrong. There you go, Bill. I am Bill. And now, Bill can write that on the line. For the next step, I will ask that students are able to write their name and their age. I am Bill. I am 5. And now Bill can write both sentences on the lines. For our final step, students will be able to write their name, age, and you guessed it, gender. I am a boy. And now Bill can write that on the line. Now it's time to create the final project. Bam! Isn't it beautiful? And do you know what else is beautiful? As a teacher, you get to decide the pace that you set for your students. You get to decide the timing of the SMART goal and how long your students spend in each center. You get to decide when they're ready to move on to the next level. Remember, only you can prevent bad instruction. Now I'd like for you to take some time to look back at the SMART goals that you created earlier. Reflect with a colleague on these SMART goals and think about how you can create scaffolds for your students to reach those goals. Pause the tape and get to work. And we're back. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We have had a fantastic time. Remember, you have a friend in education. You have ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus version 4.6. And you have a great day. See you next time. Matthew says goodbye. Oh, Matthew. Good boy, Matthew.
ELL Instruction Pro Tips Plus version 4.6. Together we can identify academic language, make SMART goals, scaffolds, and a better world.